Hello, and thank you so much for joining us. I've got Brandon with me today, and we're going to be talking about making a move into the world of data science from a career perspective. But before I dive into the questions that I've got for you, Brandon, can you give everybody an introduction?
Sure, happy to do it. First, Emma, thanks for having me on the show. Hi, everybody. My name is Brandon Cosley. I am a director of AI for a healthcare company, and then I'm also an entrepreneur and somebody who's just really invested in the data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence space. So I host a community that tries to kind of bring lots of people into the space and lower the bar of entry at fastdatascience.ai. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Emma.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. So, as I promised, we're going to be talking a little bit about how to make the move into data science. So, I guess to get us started, I'm going to kind of like twofold question you. One, can you share a little what you would qualify as like a data science career? Because I think for some people, especially if they're outside of the world and stepping in, maybe would like a little bit of an introduction to that idea. And then share a little bit about why these careers are growing so much.
Yeah, both really great questions. And, my answer today will probably be different 5 years from now, as it would have been different had you asked me this same question 5 years ago. The field is rapidly changing, and we see a lot of maturity. Just 10 years ago-ish, maybe a little more than that, there was no such thing as data science in business. Fast forward to today, and there's a lot of maturity that's happened in the space. And with that maturity often comes a lot more specialization, some differentiation, depending on the different needs of companies as we start to learn sort of what value data scientists bring to organizations. So today, data scientists actually kind of live in maybe two slightly different worlds. You have the large sort of technology kind of oriented companies, big FANG organizations, for example, that really do kind of emphasize and hire lots of highly specialized data scientists, machine learning engineers, artificial intelligence engineers to do really kind of work on really niche kind of problems that access large amounts of data for them to be able to tune really large models in order to have some large kind of impact because those businesses are, well, large. But there's also a real need for more general practitioner data scientists or general practitioner machine learning engineers even, for that matter, whereby we have individuals who have a broader skill set who sort of understand the full data science lifecycle and can apply that skill set to solve problems that are more idiosyncratic for medium-sized businesses or even medium to starting to get into some of the larger enterprises. And so those individuals are really those who use lots of different skill sets to build entire solutions in companies where they may not have full teams of, say, specifically data engineers or, specifically, machine learning operations individuals. So it often has to kind of play multiple roles in those scenarios. So I would say today, the data science kind of profession exists in those kind of two spaces where you have generalists and you have some more specialists that we see being hired by companies. So how do we think about all of the popularity of the field? So, if there's one area that's been sort of maybe dubbed like the rock star of the business world, right? It's probably like the person who sits in data science or machine learning, or even now we call them like artificial intelligence practitioners or something, right? And I think a lot of the popularity has been, really, I think a byproduct of a couple of things. One is that there's no question that being able to model data, being able to use data to predict things and classify things presents lots of opportunities to create business value, whether that be through intelligent automation or it be through more proactive outreach or whatever the use case is. There's just lots of business value to be had by leveraging the tools and technologies of data science. But in addition to that, I think we also are experiencing kind of a unique environment whereby today with the pandemic, we have had what I often refer to as hyper digitization. So we were already in a digital trend before the pandemic, but I think the pandemic really took that to the next level. Because lots more people are working remotely, lots more people are reliant on technology, and there's a lot more products that are being developed and coming into the market to support those needs. And the consequence of that is that at the end of the day, all of those digital products create the opportunity to collect data. So if we can find ways to store those digital footprints that people are creating as they interact in this sort of new digital world, all of that digital footprint becomes potential data that can then be used with the tools and technologies of data science to create even more business value. So businesses are even more invested today in understanding how they can take advantage of these digital tools in more unique ways and more creative ways. And who better to solve those than data scientists?
I've got to poke a little fun that you called your own career the rock stars of the business.
Not my words.
But it is a hot, I mean, when you're online, I get advertisements from the UW of or University of Wisconsin saying that they've got a new data science program. It's starting to grow substantially all across the board. So I think you're probably right, but I had to pull on that a little bit. So
the guitar behind me doesn't mean that I was an aspiring rock star at some point in my life, and so now I'm just projecting my own past onto my present.
There you go. So now I want to talk a little bit about how you would suggest people that are looking to take advantage of this trend and pivot their career. How would you suggest getting started with making that move into the data science world?
Yeah, that's a really hard question to answer. I think that there's a lot of different opportunities that are available today. There's no question in my mind that, there's no better time. It's super exciting. When I was starting to learn the field, so I was a transitioner, right? I used to be on faculty at a university working as a professor. And, while I was there, I got really interested in using and experimenting with different statistical models to get more insight out of the data that I was working with. And so as I experimented, I started to get really interested in the application of those statistical models to the business world. And that's what really helped me transition. But at the time, I was really kind of stuck just going through lots of free online resources, trying to figure out all the different ways in which businesses were leveraging statistics and data and bringing those together to create value. Today is a very different world for students. I think for people wanting to break into the field, there are a lot more resources, be they paid and free resources that are available. So for individuals who are excited about data, who really like using data to answer questions, those are the kinds of people that I think are really good candidates for making a move from your existing kind of profession into the world of data science. But the next steps to help get there are to start learning some of the fundamental things the tools that data scientists use, understand how those tools apply, particularly to data and the kinds of questions we can answer with that data, and really start playing around with the different technologies that are available for students. Particularly, Python is probably the most popular language that data scientists use. So I highly recommend individuals interested in the field in getting a little bit of exposure to Python, start playing with it, start experimenting, especially within the context of data, right? So use Python to wrangle data, access it, mess around with it, reconfigure, transform it, right? And then from there, it really becomes important to understand, because data science is such a broad field. There are so many different skills that really do affect the way in which a data scientist can be successful. And so in order to understand all of those technical skills, there's a tremendous amount of resources available to do that. But what I think people, and students in particular, often forget is how to take all of those different, very complex and also highly divergent technical skills and put them together in a unified way so that they can actually solve business problems. So that's why I really advocate for, as you get more comfortable with your Python and integrating that with and wrangling data, start to think about how do you put skills together to solve problems. So think about some problems that are meaningful to you, and then start experimenting with bringing those skill sets together so that you can build solutions. Because at the end of the day, data scientists, yeah, sure, we have some really unique tools that we use and some technologies that we use, but it's essential that we know how to put those things together so that we can build solutions, right? Because at the end of the day, businesses don't care about our neural nets. They don't care about our ability to build, gradient boosted models or whatever they are. What they care is whether or not those things can create solutions for them that help to automate decisions or help them get in front of customers that they weren't able to get in front of before, or help them offer new things to people that are more intelligent and more consistent with what those people expect. So I really try and get students to start thinking about creating what I call like strings of solutions that string together technical knowledge into a solution that helps you solve some meaningful problem.
Great, thank you. And so as we're making a transition, and as a not into data science, because I don't want to pretend that I knew every term that you just used there, but into the world of technology, I came from education and now I'm in software sales, and I use the skills that I learned there day in and day out in my current career. And I would imagine there's probably a lot that you've been able to pull through and leverage in your transition as well. So how would you suggest people not necessarily just leave their past behind, but leverage it as a part of their strengths moving forward?
I love this question because it really, I think, is important and oft forgotten. And that is that, we all come from unique backgrounds. We all have really unique experiences. And we also, oftentimes, like in the case of data science, I get a lot of questions about transitioning into the field, which means to me that people are coming from other areas that they have expertise in. I always recommend to leverage those backgrounds in your new roles as data scientists, or as you think about problems you want to solve in data science, because data science is broad and general. It can be applied to lots of different things. Our backgrounds, our unique backgrounds, help to inform what problems may be meaningful. They also help to inform how we might see data. So I'll give you an example. I'm actually originally trained as a research psychologist. So I spent a lot of time in my early career in a laboratory thinking about human behavior, how to measure that behavior with quantitative tools, and then how to test questions that I've got about their behavior and my measurements of that behavior using statistics, right? So when I transitioned into data science, I didn't forget about the foundations of my psychological training, which is understanding human behavior, understanding how different theories apply to be able to explain human behavior. And one of the things that did for me was, as I looked at data sets and as I looked at problems that fundamentally have a human underpinning, I started to think about whether or not that data might help me sort of derive psychological or behavioral constructs that could be predictive in those instances. In other words, I started to see the data differently than maybe somebody who has been in the profession that data came from might traditionally see it. And that created a lot of opportunities for me to start doing some feature engineering that was a little bit different, a little bit out of the ordinary, if you will, for that particular industry. That led to some really interesting insights that also helped to inform other decisions that I made around how to model that data and what solutions I think might actually be achieved from the data that we had at hand. So I often recommend to people, allow your previous experiences, allow your other areas of interest and expertise to help inform the way in which you're solving problems with data and using data science tools and technologies to do that. I think it's a great source of inspiration. It also ensures that we're bringing more diversity of thought into the industry and not getting sort of pigeonholed with the technology and the one direction we think it can go. I think data science, if there's any field that really does require creativity in order to be effective, it's in data science because of the complexity. There is no one single right way to do things. But what there is a tremendous palette of opportunities that allow us to paint our own unique pictures. And those pictures should be informed from who you are and where you come from.
Thank you so much for joining me for the chat. And I can tell you're so excited about helping people make this transition. So for anybody who's watching, if you're not already, make sure that you're following Brandon on LinkedIn and reaching out to him if you've got questions about how to make a transition of reality. I don't know if there's other places you want to point people to get into contact with you, Brandon.
Yeah, so LinkedIn is great. I have a website, fastdatascience.ai is the website. Feel free to check it out. I've got some free materials there for folks that help to do kind of what I talked about, try and solve problems by stringing lots of technical skills together with the solution in mind. in order to build those end-to-end data science solutions, and then build off of that framework to then start doing more projects. And the new tech, you'll just learn on the fly, right? As you bring it in, you'll start to see that general kind of way of bringing things together is a really useful way for solving problems. So Emma, I really appreciate the conversation. This was a great interview. I really, really appreciate all of the things that I've seen from you in the past as well. I'm looking forward to more of your interviews and conversations with other people that are in the field. And the digital transformation is, something that I think all of us are experiencing even more than we ever did before.
Yes, thank you so much for joining me, and have a wonderful day, everyone. If you're looking for expert tips on how to get started with your transformation or looking to hone in on your approach, make sure that you subscribe to our channel to catch our weekly Digital Transformation Talk series, where we interview experts from around the world on how to make it happen.